So in this video we'll be demonstrating the use of iteration, which is a feature in Vexus, and we'll be using it to show how you can submit renders of this chair, changing just the material for each submission. So to start, we'll do objects by name, and we'll select all of our objects in the scene since we want them all to be visible and included in the render. So we'll name this all objects, and we'll plug this into a pass node. And then what we'll do is copy and paste this, and we will name this fabric. And we'll use this node to select our objects that contain the fabric that we want to change the material on. If you're wondering, this token fabric comes from the name of these objects, which all contain the word fabric in them. So to ensure that we're targeting the correct objects, we'll add wire color, and we'll leave it default blue, but execute this node, and we can see just those objects are affected. So on those objects, what we want to do is a material iteration. And we use this node to iterate through the materials for each render. So we'll clear that, and we'll pick the materials that we do want to render. So we'll do black leather, we will do plaid, and we will do pigskin. We'll add those over and hit save. And the next thing we want to do is just plug this into our pass node, which we'll name this chair. And the last thing we want to do here is create our shot node, which is critical in getting the iteration to work. So we'll add our camera. Now you can see by default the iterations is set to 1, and that's going to submit one render for each pass and shot. In this case we want to do 4, mimicking, oh, well, we only have 3, so we want to change that to actually be 3 because we only have 3 materials. And now we want to set our V-Ray settings override node, and what this allows us to do is control the settings for our render and where it's going to be saved. And these settings control the settings you see here in the render dialog. So what we want to do is separate the render channels, and we just want to save the RGB, so we'll uncheck split alpha. Now to save our outputs, we want to use tokens, which is another feature in Vexus, and it allows us to use variables to define our output path. So in this case we want our renders to go to the same location as our max file, but in a subfolder called renders. So we'll click this, which will copy it to the clipboard, and tokens are defined and used by prefixing it with 2 $signs. So then we'll add a backslash to put it in a subfolder called renders, and then we want this to go inside of a folder using our shot node name. So we'll name this beauty, but in our settings node what we can do is use the shot node token. 2 $signs, and we'll type the word shot, which is case sensitive, and then we're going to name our actual rendered images using the pass name and then the iteration as well. And then we'll save it as a JPEG. So you can see iteration, and then I'll put a number there. And then what we can do is select our beauty. We'll go into our shots panel now, where we can enable the pass that we want to render and hit submit. And what this will do is trigger our submission. Now if you don't have your submission script set up, you'll go into your settings dialog, and if you scroll down to the general section, you'll see I'm using the simple windowless submit local render. And what that's going to do is submit your shots locally on your computer and render them. This script is available with the Vexus that you have downloaded and installed, just in the local installation directory of Vexus. So I'll hit submit and I'll pause while it renders, but I'll let the first render show up so you guys can see what's happening. So there we go. And now once this is finished, it'll save in the location that we previously defined. So if we can navigate to that folder while it's rendering, we'll go to our max folder. We'll actually go to recent, go to scenes, and we can see we have a renders folder, beauty, and then our pass is getting named using the token, chair, and the iteration number.